This podcast is brought to you by Casa de la Zisa.
Welcome back to the AI Analysis Podcast. Today, we're delving into another episode of the Goosebumps Crew Podcast. Always fascinating.
Absolutely is. And this time, we're looking at something really fun. Their countdown of the top 10 Goosebumps books the hosts wished had made it onto the 90s TV show.
Oh, I love this topic.
And it's important context, right? The show, apart from those first few original stories, pretty much always adapted an existing book.
Yeah, they had a huge library to pull from, even just the books published during the show's run.
But so many got left behind. And this discussion they had, it wasn't just about, oh, this book is my favorite. It was more about why certain books maybe didn't make the cut.
Right, like the practical side of things. 90s kids TV production, not exactly Hollywood blockbuster budgets.
Not at all. You had tight schedules, limited effects budgets, network standards, stuff you couldn't show.
Yeah.
So this look back really highlights those constraints.
And maybe where the show missed a chance to, I don't know, branch out a bit more. Try different kinds of horror.
That's the core question, I think. So let's get into their list. They started with number 10. And right away, it got a bit weird.
Weird how?
Well, two of the hosts, Isaiah and Nick, picked the same book, but it was kind of half joking, half serious.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Which book?
Chicken.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that one's memorable. So the appeal wasn't the story itself.
Not really. It was more about imagining how hilariously bad the 90s special effects would have been trying to pull that off. People slowly turning into chickens.
Oh, man. Especially those later seasons like 3 and 4 where the creature effects got, let's say, creative.
Exactly. They'd specifically mentioned wanting to see it done with those shitty 90s effects, as they put it. Like, picture the terrible animal masks.
They probably would reuse that effect from My Best Friend is Invisible, right? The one with the eyes and mouth on the back of the head.
That's exactly what they speculated. Imagine that, but like on a giant clucking chicken head just running at the camera. Nick actually said that specific image would be freaking terrifying in its own weird, low-budget way.
Horror through sheer incompetence, a 90s specialty.
Totally. And the ultimate joke, they suggested chicken should have been the series finale, just end the entire Goosebumps TV legacy with the weird chicken monster.
That's bold. I kind of love it.
Me too.
Right.
But BJ, the third host, he brought it back to something more grounded for his number 10. He picked Beware the Snowman.
Ah, okay. That one makes a lot more sense in terms of missed opportunity.
Yeah, his reasoning was all about the setting. The show was almost always set in like generic suburbia or summer camps, maybe a farm.
Very familiar locations.
But Beware the Snowman is set in the Arctic Circle. Super isolated, blizzard conditions. It's a totally different vibe, a real breath of fresh air visually and thematically.
And it's a pretty creepy book too, right? Often gets overlooked.
Definitely underrated, they agreed. The isolation itself is terrifying, way before the snowman even shows up. They called it kind of the winter version of the Scarecrow Walks at Midnight.
Which was a great episode, really atmospheric.
It was. And interestingly, they mentioned hearing that Abominable Snowman of Pasadena was actually considered for the show but got passed over.
So maybe they just didn't like snow. Or maybe filming in winter conditions was too complicated or expensive for the show's setup.
Could be.
Yeah.
Beware the Snowman, being more contained maybe, might have been doable. But yeah, suggests a pattern of avoiding those kinds of settings.
Okay, so number 10 tackled effects absurdity and setting variety. What about number 9? Sounds like this is where they got into genre gap.
Exactly. This is where they pointed out what the show didn't really do. First up, aliens. Isaiah picked egg monsters from Mars.
Wait, the show never did a proper alien episode. That seems wrong.
Yeah.
Aliens were huge in the 90s.
Right. But think about it. Aliens were always the twist ending. Welcome to Camp Nightmare, Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. Even My Best Friend is Invisible. They weren't the main threat throughout.
Huh. You're right. It was always a reveal, not an invasion story.
Exactly. So egg monsters would have been a straight-up alien creature feature.
Yeah.
And the crew thought, well, the effects wouldn't have needed to be amazing.
How so? Aren't they just eggs?
Well, the monsters that hatch, they figured you could do them with practical effects, like little puppets or maybe kind of blobby things, like a cheap yellow and green version of the blob.
Okay, I can see that. Low-budget creature effects. Still, it's weird they never went there.
Maybe they felt sci-fi needed better effects than spooky ghosts, higher expectations.
Could be. Okay, so aliens were one gap. What else at number 9?
The undead. Specifically, BJ picked Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls.
Ah, classic cover art on that one. Very spooky graveyard vibes.
Totally. Fan favorite book, really atmospheric. And it brings up zombies, which the show barely touched.
But wait, aren't the creatures in the book actually ghosts, not zombies? Despite the cover?
Yeah, technically they're more like spirits or ghostly figures.
Mm.
But the discussion was that the TV show could have easily made them zombies, recontextualized them to fill that zombie gap.
Because the only thing close was Welcome to Dead House, and those weren't really traditional zombies either.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So this was a missed chance for some proper graveyard shambling.
Yeah.
And the timing is kind of sad, too.
Why's that?
The book came out really late, like October and November 1998. The show was basically ending its production run right then.
So just missed the window. Could have been a killer final episode, too.
Definitely. And then Nick, for his number 9, threw a total curveball. He picked a Give Yourself Goosebumps book.
Oh, wow. Okay, how would that have worked? He picked A Night in Werewolf Woods.
Yeah, the big question is, how do you adapt a choose-your-own-adventure-style book for linear TV?
Right. Nowadays, you could maybe do it with interactive streaming or something, like those Netflix specials, or like the old Escape from Horrorland CD-ROM game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But back in the 90s, no way. It would have had to be a straight single storyline.
So how did they think it could work?
They gave the show's writers credit, pointed out how they were often really good at picking the best bits, the scariest moments from a book, and weaving them into a solid, even if different, TV plot.
Like The Haunted Mask 2. They mentioned that one improved on the book.
That was their prime example.
Yeah.
They streamlined it, focused it. They felt that same skill could have been applied to Werewolf Woods, picking one strong path through the choices.
Interesting. Did they mention any other Give Yourself Goosebumps contenders?
Yeah, a couple. All Day Nightmare got high praise, great press apparently,
Yeah.
but they stressed it would need that early season vibe,
Yeah.
Darker, less goofy than the later stuff.
Tone is key for some of these. What else?
Plant horror. They brought up I Live in Your Plant Food.
Okay, another niche genre. Why that one?
Well, the show did stay out of the basement, which was huge. This felt like a potential follow-up, exploring that plant-based horror again. And they really loved the cover art.
Suggests strong visuals were possible, maybe without complex effects, just creepy plants.
Pretty much. Vines, maybe some simple puppetry. Felt doable.
So number 9 was all about filling those genre gaps. Aliens, zombies, interactive, even plant horror. Moving on to 8 and 7. Sounds like we're getting into camp stories and maybe some deeper psychological stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And starting with camp at number 8, 2 hosts picked Horror Camp Jelly Jam.
King Jelly Jam. That's a concept.
A very slimy concept.
Yeah.
The plot's pretty dark, this camp, where you compete to be the best, but winning means, well, getting eaten by a giant blob monster.
So the monster itself would have been the big production challenge, right? How did they think the show would handle King Jelly Jam?
Predictably badly. They figured either it'd get the cheap blob treatment, small, maybe some goo, operated off screen.
Or the classic person in a costume approach.
Yeah, basically someone in a big blanket trying to look menacing. They didn't have high hopes for the monster effects.
But was there something else about it they liked?
Yes, and this was a great point. They focused on the character of Buddy, the super upbeat, slightly creepy camp counselor.
Oh yeah, he's memorable.
They felt he could have been the standout element, much like Uncle Al was in Welcome to Camp Nightmare. A really strong, unnerving performance could carry the episode, even if the monster looked terrible.
That's often true for the show. A good actor playing creepy can save dodgy effects.
Absolutely. And speaking of recurring elements, the other number 8 pick was all about wanting more of a fan favorite, Screams of the Haunted Mask.
Okay, that makes sense. The Haunted Mask episodes were some of the best the show ever did.
Totally. Especially the two-parters. The argument was simple. Slappy got 3 big appearances. Why not the Haunted Mask? It deserved a third outing.
And this book was from that Goosebumps Gold line, right? Supposedly a bit darker.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And they brought up that point again about adaptations sometimes improving the source material. They used Night of the Living Dummy 3 as an example. The episode's way better than the book. They felt Screams could have gotten similar treatment.
Okay, moving into the number 7 picks. This is where it gets more psychological.
Definitely. BJ picked The Haunted School. This was noted as one of the better later books in the original 62.
What's the premise? Less of a monster, more atmosphere.
Exactly. It's heavy on psychological dread. Kids get trapped in this weird alternate dimension, described as like a colorless void. The horror isn't a creature chasing them. It's being stuck forever in nothingness.
Right.
Pure existential dread and claustrophobia.
Wow. Okay, how do you even film that on a 90s budget?
This is the genius part. They suggested the show could have just filmed the whole thing in black and white.
Oh. That's brilliant. Simple, cheap, and instantly creates that eerie, otherworldly feel.
Right. It immediately makes it feel like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
Leans into the concept without needing fancy effects. Just good lighting, maybe some stark set design. It plays to the budget limitation.
That's really smart. What was the other number 7?
Something completely different in pace. Beast from the East.
The deadly game of tag 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kids get lost in the woods and caught up in this game where if you're it, you get eaten by these weird, sorry monsters.
So the appeal here was the action.
The pacing, specifically. They stressed how quick and relentless the book is. It's a chase, a constant hunt, perfect for a tight 20-minute episode.
They thought making it a 2-parter would ruin it.
Absolutely. It would just drag. The whole point is the speed and the fear. Stretching it out would kill the momentum. It needed to be breathless.
It definitely has that most dangerous game kind of vibe. Did they want to see the creatures? Spark and fuzz.
Oh, yeah. Even with a focus on pace, they were keen to see how the show would realize those specific creatures. The designs mattered.
So looking back at 8 and 7, we've got difficult monsters, desired sequels, psychological horror done cheap, and fast-paced action. A real mix.
It shows they were thinking about different kinds of stories the show could have told, beyond just the standard monster of the week.
CDZ Collegia Musica is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It is a kind of school of music, a concert series, and an agency that promotes the musicians, dedicated artists, and educators who we feature as our performers. The goal of the Collegium is to bring community together through music performance. These performances vary in musical style from classical to jazz, and music from different parts of the world, from India to the Middle East, that'd be like Persia, and Japan, and China. The goal is to also educate us to how music functions, not so much as a musical universal language, because there are differences in the way that these languages of music are expressed, but to educate us to be able to be more appreciative, not only of the music, but the culture it represents. And by doing this, it brings community together.
And we're back, diving into the top 5 unadapted Goosebumps books according to the Goosebumps Crew. These must be some heavy hitters.
Oh, definitely. We're getting into iconic concepts and major missed opportunities now. Kicking off the top 5, we had a pick from the Series 2000 line again. The Haunted Car.
Ah, yes. Stine as Christine.
Pretty much. It's one of the clearest examples of him riffing on Stephen King. And it's effective horror.
It taps into that fear of losing control, right? Being trapped in something familiar that turns malevolent.
Exactly. The dread of being inside this car, completely helpless while it's actively trying to kill you, it's primal. And the car itself becomes the monster.
It's a really strong visual. Did they mention its later appearances?
They did. They pointed out the car actually showed up in one of the later Goosebumps movies, which proves its iconic status. It deserved its own 90s episode feature.
Totally agree. What else was at number 5? Sounds like there were multiple picks here.
Yeah, 2 hosts actually picked sequels related to Horrorland, showing how much that setting resonated. First was Return to Horrorland.
Just wanting to go back to the park.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the book itself was interesting because it was like an early attempt at a shared Goosebumps universe. It mentioned Monster Blood, the Amazo character from How I Got My Shrunken Head.
Oh, cool. Connecting the dots.
Yeah. And the plot had a neat twist.
Yeah.
The kids go back, but this time with a news crew trying to expose the place. So it's less about escaping, more about, like, investigation.
That's a cool angle for a sequel. What was the other number 5 pick?
Return to Terror Tower.
Another sequel. Why that one specifically?
This one was more straightforward, bringing back Eddie and Sue and the Executioner. But the big draw was the original episode's success.
A Night in Terror Tower. Yeah, that one looked amazing.
Exactly. It was shot on location at Casa Loma in Toronto, this incredible Gothic castle. It looked way more expensive than it probably was.
Yeah.
So the idea of returning to that specific location for another episode felt like a guaranteed visual win.
Using an existing asset that worked really well. Smart. Okay, that covers number 5. What about the number 4 pick? Sounds like this one was a big deal for them.
Huge deal. This was I Live in Your Basement, and they absolutely raved about it, but with a massive caveat.
Raved how? What's the premise?
They called it a masterclass in psychological horror. The main character, Keith, is basically going through this really confusing, possibly supernatural ordeal involving someone or something living in his basement. But the narrative keeps twisting.
Making you doubt what's real.
Constantly. You, as the reader, along with Keith, just can't get a grip on reality. Is his friend Marco messing with him? Is it a monster? Is Keith losing his mind? It's incredibly disorienting.
Then there's a big twist, isn't there?
One of the biggest. It turns out Marco, the friend who seemed to be orchestrating everything, is actually Keith's long-lost sister. It just completely pulls the rug out from under you and recontextualizes everything.
Wow, that's complex for Goosebumps. So what's the caveat? Why wasn't this adapted?
The monster itself, or rather one specific scene involving it.
Too scary?
Too gory. There's a part where the creature graphically turns itself inside out. And, well, even for 90s kids' TV, which could get away with some stuff, that was apparently just way too much. Visually depicting that. No chance.
So a book that's brilliant psychologically gets sidelined by one moment of body horror that couldn't be shown.
Pretty much. It needed either modern effects or much looser censorship, neither of which were available then. A real shame because structurally and psychologically, it sounded perfect for a tense episode.
Okay, that's a major what if.
Yeah.
Let's move into the final 3. Number 3 must be getting into some really unique territory.
Definitely. First up at number 3 was Slappy's Nightmare.
Another Slappy book.
Yeah.
But wasn't the complaint that he got too much attention?
But this one's different. It's told entirely from Slappy's perspective. He's the main character, the protagonist, sort of.
Wait, really? How does that work?
The plot is that some magician casts a spell on Slappy. And if Slappy doesn't perform 3 good deeds within a certain time, he'll basically die or fall asleep forever.
Yeah.
Something bad for a dummy.
So the villain has to be the hero.
Exactly. The appeal was seeing the iconic TV Slappy, the ultimate egomaniac, being forced to do nice things against his will. Like, picture him begrudgingly cleaning a room or helping someone out, probably muttering insults the whole time.
That actually sounds hilarious. A total subversion of his character.
Pure comedy potential. Seeing the bad guys suffer through acts of kindness.
Okay, that's a clever pick. What else was at number 3?
A book many consider one of the absolute creepiest, Ghost Camp.
Ooh, I've heard that one's genuinely unsettling. High praise for it.
Massive praise.
Yeah.
Even R.L. Stine himself apparently ranks it among his scariest. It's all about atmosphere and these really specific, chilling details.
Like what? What makes it so creepy?
They highlighted one detail in particular. The kids find these weird, small pools of liquid at the end of their empty bunk beds in the morning.
Ugh. Left behind by
the ghost campers who were supposedly sleeping there. It's just such a weird, eerie, physical trace of something supernatural. And it's simple visually.
So this one was adaptable.
They thought so, yeah. Relatively easy to do on a 90s budget because it relies on suggestion, atmosphere, and those small, creepy details, not big monster effects. They were actually surprised Scholastic hasn't reissued it more often given how good it is.
A truly spooky ghost story then. Any other picks in this tier?
One more camp story, but with a different kind of creepiness. Cursed Camp Cold Lake. Or just Camp Cold Lake, depending on the edition.
What's the angle here? Another ghost?
Yeah, but it's more like a stalker story. A ghost becomes obsessed, like infatuated with main character Brianna.
That's uncomfortable.
Super creepy. The ghost's goal isn't just to haunt. It's trying to kill Brianna so they can be together forever as ghosts, cross over together. That personal obsessive angle is really disturbing.
And visually.
Probably easy enough. Desolate camp setting. A cold, misty lake. Relies on atmosphere again, which the show could do well when it tried.
Okay, so Slappy's perspective, a truly scary ghost story, and a stalker ghost. Interesting mix. Was there anything else before the number 1s?
Just one more sort of an honorable mention tied into this group. A modern book they wish had gotten the 90s treatment. Trick or Trap from the Most Wanted series.
Why a modern one?
They just felt it was a really solid, classic-style Halloween story. Haunted house, kids trapped, clever twist ending. And they argued the 90s show always did Halloween episodes really well.
Like the Haunted Mask or Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, those are big events.
Exactly. So they thought Trick or Trap, despite being newer, had that same strong DNA and would have fit right in with the best of the 90s Halloween specials. A nod to the newer stuff holding up.
Cool. All right, we've reached the summit, the #1 picks, the ultimate unadapted Goosebumps books. What did they choose?
Okay, first #1 pick. We're back to Series 2000 and arguably the darkest territory. Headless Halloween.
Whoa, they really rated this one, huh?
Called it the best Series 2000 book, flat out.
Yeah.
And one of the darkest Goosebumps books ever written, period.
What makes it so dark? Is it just the headless theme?
It's the main character and the ending. The protagonist, Brandon, is this total prankster, like pathologically obsessed with pulling scary pranks. And for Halloween, he plans this ultimate, super elaborate headless prank.
And it goes wrong.
Horribly wrong. It backfires in a genuinely gruesome way. But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
The ending is real. There's no, it was all a dream. No, the monster was just my friend in a costume. What happens to Brandon is permanent and awful.
Oh, wow. No Stine twist to soften the blow.
None. It just ends bleakly. That complete subversion of the expected Goosebumps formula, letting the bad ending stand, is what makes it so shocking and memorable.
Yeah, I can see why that wouldn't fly on 90s kids' TV. A truly downer ending where the protagonist suffers permanently. Tough sell.
Exactly. But the crew is still baffled why this book, with its Halloween theme and headless character, wasn't even re-released or considered for the Goosebumps Haunted Halloween movie. Seems like a perfect fit.
A massive missed opportunity, especially thematically. Okay, that's one #1. That was the other ultimate pick. It has to be iconic.
It is the icon, in a way, the true white whale of unadapted episodes. The original Night of the Living Dummy.
The very first one. The book that started it all with Slappy? Or wait, no, with Mr. Wood?
Exactly. The book that introduced the evil dummy concept starring Mr. Wood, not Slappy. And yet it was never, ever adapted for the TV show.
That seems insane. It's probably the most famous Goosebumps book besides The Haunted Mask. Why wasn't it done? Is it the lost episode people talk about?
That's the legend, but the crew confirmed the official reason. Apparently, the show's creators looked at both Book 1 and Book 2, Night of the Living Dummy 2, which introduces Slatty properly, and decided Book 2 just made for a better TV episode.
Better structure. Or just more Slappy.
Probably both. Slappy was clearly becoming the breakout star, the mascot. They felt his story in the second book was stronger for adaptation, more focused, so they just skipped the first one entirely.
Wow. So no script for the first book ever existed. It wasn't filmed and lost.
According to their research, nope, no script was ever written. Kills the lost episode myth, but doesn't kill the desire to see it.
Yeah, I bet. What did the hosts want to see from it?
Just the original story. They wanted to see Mr. Wood, the original evil dummy, brought to life. They wanted to see that iconic scene on the staircase where the dummy first shows signs of life, finally visualized. Not the Slappy version, but the original.
The purist's dream, basically.
Yeah.
See the story that started it all.
Exactly. It remains the biggest what if for the TV adaptations.
Was there a third #1 pick, or did those two cover it?
There was one more, which circled back to an earlier point. Screams of the Haunted Mask again.
Doubling down on the Mask sequel?
Yeah, reinforcing that feeling. Given how well the show handled the first two Mask stories, the failure to adapt the third book felt like leaving the most successful narrative thread incomplete. If Slappy got his trilogy, Carly, Beth, and the Mask deserved theirs.
Makes sense. Strong characters, proven success. Feels like a logical next step they just never took.
Yep.
Okay, so looking at this whole list, from Chicken to Night of the Living Dummy, what's the big takeaway? What does this tell us about the 90s show and the Goosebumps legacy?
I think the clearest pattern is that a lot of really interesting, diverse, and sometimes genuinely dark material got left on the table, usually for practical reasons.
Like budget.
Budget was huge.
Yeah?
Complex monsters like King Jelly Jam, or stuff requiring significant gore like a Live in Your Basement, just too hard or expensive or impossible under censorship rules.
And sometimes it was just creative choice, right?
Yeah.
Like picking Slappy over Mr. Wood.
Definitely. Prioritizing the established mascot, maybe playing it a bit safe by sticking to familiar formulas instead of trying something really out there like the Haunted School's black and white concept or the downer ending of Headless Halloween.
So the 90s show, while classic, was maybe a bit limited by its own production realities and maybe branding priorities.
That seems fair. It did amazing things within those limits. But this countdown really highlights how much more potential was sitting right there in the books. It's like a roadmap for what a modern adaptation could do.
Yeah, the new show could certainly mine this list for ideas. rectify some of those old omissions.
Totally. There's still so much great Stine material waiting for its screen debut.
Agreed. This has been a really fascinating look back, thinking about all those constraints. Budget, gore, themes. Which book do you think presented the biggest philosophical challenge to the 90s team? Not just effects, but the core idea.
That's a tough one. Maybe Headless Halloween because of that ending,
Mm-hmm.
or I Live in Your Basement for its sheer psychological darkness.
Good points. All right, let's turn it over to you listening. Which Goosebumps book would you like to have seen adapted for the TV show? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to check out more of the Goosebumps Crew podcast.
Greetings, boys and girls. My name is Isaiah Vargas. For over 3 decades, R.L. Stine's Goosebumps has reigned as one of the best-selling book series in history, spawning a monster franchise that's lasted since 1992 and spawning a massive fan base. Folks who love to talk about this influential series. And that's where we come in. Join the Goosebumps crew, Nick Shaw, Bjorn Panelik, and myself every week as we dive into the world of Goosebumps and talk about everything from the books, TV shows, movies, video games, merchandise, and so much more. Many like-minded Goosebumps fans and a growing list of special guests join us. So if you want Goosebumps, get with the program. Tune in to the Goosebumps crew every week on YouTube and audio platforms. Become a Goosebumps crew member today. Listen with the lights on.